Welcome back to Body Count on Quaver TV, where we dissect the deadliest characters in fiction and tally up their victims. Today, we're diving into the split world of Dr. Henry Jekyll and his alter ego, Edward Hyde. Now, you might be thinking, wait a minute, isn't their body count rather low? And you'd be right, but don't change the channel just yet. This episode is going to be a 2-for-1 special, much like our protagonists. We'll be exploring not just the literal body count, but the psychological toll and cultural impact of this iconic duo. So, grab your potion of choice, maybe stick to soda for this one, and let's dive into the twisted tale of a man divided. First, let's set the stage. Robert Louis Stevenson's novella Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde was published in 1886, shocking Victorian sensibilities and probably making a few people side-eye their eccentric scientist neighbors. The story follows the respectable Dr. Jekyll, who creates a potion that transforms him into the violent and immoral Mr. Hyde. It's like a before and after ad for the world's worst energy drink. The impact of Jekyll and Hyde was immediate and long-lasting, quickly making its way to the silver screen. The duo first appeared in a 1908 silent short, now lost to time. But it was the 1920 silent film starring Drew Barrymore that really brought Jekyll and Hyde to life on screen. Barrymore's transformation from Jekyll to Hyde, achieved through makeup and his own contorted expressions, set the standard for visual depictions of the character for decades to come. Perhaps the most influential early adaptation came in 1931, with Frederick March in the starring role. This pre-code film pushed boundaries with its portrayal of Hyde as a brutal, animalistic creature. March's performance was so convincing that he won an Academy Award for Best Actor, making this the first horror film to win an Oscar in an acting category. Produced by Paramount, not Universal, this film is why Jekyll and Hyde aren't officially part of the Universal Monsters lineup, despite often being associated with them. These early films cemented Jekyll and Hyde's place in popular culture, ensuring that even those who've never read Stevenson's novella are familiar with the basic concept. They influenced everything from comic books to stage plays, helping to make Jekyll and Hyde the enduring symbols of duality that they are today. Now, let's talk body count. In the original novella, Hyde is directly responsible for 2 deaths, Sir Danvers Carew, who he beats to death with a cane, talk about road rage, and of course, Jekyll himself in a roundabout suicide. That's it. 2. You might be thinking, that's less than the body count of a particularly rowdy game of Clue. But remember, dear viewers, sometimes it's quality over quantity when it comes to literary murder. What makes Jekyll and Hyde so fascinating isn't the number of bodies they leave in their wake, but the psychological implications of their existence. This isn't just a story about a man who turns into a monster, it's about the monster that exists within all of us. It's the original You Wouldn't Like Me When I'm Angry story, decades before Bruce Banner started his green juice diet. Speaking of the Hulk, let's take a moment to appreciate how Jekyll and Hyde have inspired countless other characters in pop culture. Bruce Banner and the Hulk are perhaps the most famous example. Like Jekyll, Banner is a brilliant scientist. Like Hyde, the Hulk is a creature of pure id, all rage and impulse. The main difference, the Hulk's body count is significantly higher, and his tailor bills are astronomical. But the influence doesn't stop there. We see echoes of Jekyll and Hyde in characters like Harvey Dent Two-Face. From Batman, Dexter Morgan from Dexter, a blood spatter analyst by day, serial killer by night, and even Tyler Durden in Fight Club. It seems Stevenson tapped into something fundamental about human nature, something that resonates with us even today. We all have those moments where we look in the mirror and think, who is that person? Though hopefully, for most of us, the answer isn't a homicidal maniac with questionable fashion sense. Now, let's delve deeper into the psychology of Jekyll and Hyde. What we're really talking about here is dissociative identity disorder, formerly known as multiple personality disorder. Of course, Stevenson wasn't working with the DSM-5 when he wrote his novella. His understanding was more along the lines of what if a man could separate his good and evil sides. Which is about as scientifically accurate as claiming the moon is made of cheese. In reality, it is a complex disorder usually stemming from severe trauma. It's not about good and evil personalities, but rather a fractured sense of self. Think less Hyde and more the 3 faces of Eve. This 1957 film, based on a true case study, portrays a woman with 3 distinct personalities. Unlike Hyde, none of these personalities go on a murder spree, which is probably for the best. Another film that explores did, albeit with a twist, is Primal Fear. Edward Norton plays an altar boy accused of murder who appears to have an alternate personality. Without spoiling too much, let's just say it's a film that would make both Jekyll and Hyde proud. It's a reminder that sometimes, the most dangerous monster is the one hiding behind an innocent facade. But back to our dynamic duo. What makes Jekyll and Hyde so enduring is the way they embody the duality of human nature. Jekyll represents everything that Victorian society valued: intellect, restraint, respectability. Hyde, on the other hand, is pure, uninhibited id. He's every dark impulse we've ever suppressed, every nasty thought we've bitten back, every time we've wanted to tell our boss exactly where they can stick that TPS report. In a way, Hyde's low body count makes him even more terrifying. He's not some supernatural beast or unstoppable killing machine. He's the darkness that lurks within a respectable man, the beast that waits behind the civilized facade. He's a reminder that the capacity for violence and cruelty exists within all of us, just waiting for the right chemical imbalance to set it free. This idea has resonated through the years, spawning countless adaptations and reinterpretations. From stage plays to films, television shows to comic books, Jekyll and Hyde have been reimagined for every generation. There's even a Broadway musical, because apparently, nothing says show tunes like a story of repression, murder, and suicide. One of the most interesting modern takes on the Jekyll and Hyde story is the television show Jekyll from 2007. In this version, Tom Jackman is a modern descendant of the original Jekyll, dealing with his own Hyde personality. The show plays with the concept, making Hyde more mischievous and unpredictable than purely evil. It's like if the original Hyde decided to be more Loki and less Hannibal Lecter. Another fascinating adaptation is the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen comic book series, where Mr. Hyde is portrayed as a hulking, physically imposing figure. This Hyde has a much higher body count than his literary counterpart, but he's also more complex, capable of heroic acts as well as monstrous ones. It's a reminder that even our darkest sides can sometimes be turned to good purpose, assuming you need someone to punch a submarine or something. The concept of Jekyll and Hyde has become so ingrained in our culture that we use. It is shorthand for any kind of dual nature or sudden personality change. How many times have you heard someone describe a moody friend as real Jekyll and Hyde type? It's become a way to describe everything from bipolar disorder to just being a bit grumpy before your morning coffee. But perhaps the most interesting thing about Jekyll and Hyde is the way they make us question our own nature. We all have aspects of ourselves we're not proud of, parts of our personality we keep hidden from the world. Jekyll and Hyde force us to confront those aspects, to acknowledge the potential for darkness that exists within us all. As we wrap up this episode of Body Count, we're left with some unsettling questions. Are we all just one bad day, one chemical imbalance, away from becoming our own Hyde? Is the facade of civilization just that, a thin veneer hiding our baser natures? And if we could separate our good and evil sides, would we really want to? Perhaps the true lesson of Jekyll and Hyde is not about the danger of unleashing our dark side, but the importance of integrating all aspects of ourselves. Maybe instead of trying to suppress our Hyde, we should be finding healthy ways to acknowledge and channel those impulses. After all, a little bit of Hyde every now and then might be just what the doctor ordered. Just maybe not this particular doctor. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Body Count on Quaver TV. Remember, the next time you're feeling a bit moody, don't worry, you're not turning into Mr. Hyde, you probably just need a snack. Before we completely transform back into our mild-mannered selves, let me remind you about the other exciting series we offer here on Quaver TV. If you're interested in real-life crimes and disasters that don't involve personality-splitting potions, check out our Real Body Count series. For music lovers, this is Genius breaks down the best lines and rhyme schemes in popular songs. No Jekyll and Hyde inspired gothic rock musicals included yet. Action movie fans won't want to miss Wreck Count, where we tally up the destruction in blockbuster films and franchises. I promise, it's more exciting than watching Mr. Hyde redecorate a laboratory with his fists. If you're into spiritual and historical mysteries, well, That's Interesting explores fascinating theories about the Bible, the ancient world, and more. Spoiler alert, none of them involve magic potions that turn you evil. And for those who love a good biography, our Interesting People series delves into the lives of intriguing individuals, from my own grandfather to famous actors and musicians. We promise not to include any split personalities unless they're really interesting. If you want to support the show and help us keep the body count rising, literally or metaphorically, click on the links in my bio. Every subscriber is another test subject in our ongoing experiment to create the perfect YouTube channel. Don't worry, no personality-altering substances required. Until next time, keep your good side front and center, and your Hyde side safely tucked away. Unless you're stuck in traffic, then maybe let Hyde take the wheel for a bit. This is Quaver TV, reminding you that we're all a bit Jekyll and Hyde sometimes, and that's what makes us human.